Are you a failure? Seriously, I want you to think about it. Do you consider yourself a failure because a past event didn't turn out like you envisioned it to? Many of us go through life focusing on a past because it didn't turn out like we wanted it to. Or possibly we just think that, man, I blew it. If we're all honest, we all blew it in major ways throughout our life. A couple weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast and from John Maxwell, and he was talking about the Apostle Peter. And he made a very good point, and I was thinking about it and wanted to share it with you. That he said, that Peter told him, he said, look, God, I will not deny you. I'm not going to deny you. I'm not going to deny you. Not only did he not deny him, he denied him 3 times. The great thing about it is that just a few weeks later, after he denied Christ 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, is that he was the one that was bringing the message at Pentecost. The biggest revival of that time, where the New Testament church had actually started. Think about that for a second. The one that's lied to Christ, basically saying that I'm not going to deny you, ended up denying him, but was the one that brought the message at Pentecost where everyone was saved. Now, why do I tell you that story? Well, that day that I was out walking, listening to that podcast, the Lord just spoke to me in my spirit, and he said, Bryan, that's what you need to be preaching on Father's Day. Because there's a lot of fathers out there that feel like that they have blown it. That they blew it with their kids. Maybe they feel like they've blown it with their parents. And they feel like that they're a failure. And they feel like that God can't use them or God can't forgive them. Because you look at your past and you think that there's no way that God can forgive me because of that. Listen, I'm here to tell you today, if God can use Peter, he can use you. And so for the next 2 weeks, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start this Sunday morning talking about Peter and looking at the failures and all the things that he did. And then next Sunday, on Father's Day, we're going to look and see how God still used a man in the midst of all of his failures. I told our Wednesday night church group last night that, listen, your past events, they're not here to define you, but they're here to refine you. And what I mean by that is it's that God wants to just refine you. He doesn't want your past to define you, but he wants to use that past to define you, or refine you, excuse me. He wants to use that past to refine you. He's wanting to get all the bad things out of your life. He's wanting to get all the impurities out of your life and to make you pure, make you whole, and make you perfect in his sight. That's what God wants to do. And maybe you, father, maybe you, a son, maybe you feel like that you failed your father. Maybe you feel like that I'm a failure because I've let my father down. And maybe you feel like that you're being defined by a past because you feel like you've been a failure. I'm here to tell you that God can still use you, and he still wants to use you. Many of us, we turn to a lot of vices. A lot of us turn to alcohol. A lot of us turn to sex and drugs and all kinds of other things in this world because of a past that we feel like that we're a failure and that we're allowing that failure to define us instead of refining you. Listen, I want you to be refined where God can use you. I'm ready for you to let go of a past that is hindering you. And you're saying, look, I blew it with my kids. I blew it in my family. I blew it in my workplace. I want you to see that God can still use you. He used Peter, the one that lied to his face, to bring the message of Pentecost. Jesus Christ even told Peter, he said, when he called him as a disciple, he saw something in Peter that nobody else saw. And he said, upon this rock I will build my church. Jesus Christ sees the same thing in you. And he wants to use you the same way. He wants to build something on you, using you that you thought was never possible. So this is what I want you to do. For the ones that are not in church, that are around the First Baptist Church of Inverness area, I want you to make sure that you're here the next 2 Sundays. For the ones that are in church, I want you to like and I want you to share this video. I want you to get this into the hands of someone that you know that is being defined by a failure in their past. I want you to get that in their hands. And I want you to tell them, say, listen, I want you to watch this. But not only do I want you to watch it, I want you to come to church with me. Also, listen, for the ones that are not in this area, we've been blessed to be able to put this on Facebook Live. So for Sunday and then the next Sunday on Father's Day, I want you to tune in specifically and listen to this sermon and see how God can use you. And understand that He's not wanting you to be defined by a past, but He's wanting to refine you. He's wanting to get all the bad things out, all the bad memories out, where He can use you and be a perfect instrument for Him. So I want you to get this in the hands of someone that needs it, okay? God bless you. I'll see you Sunday morning. Like and share the video. Get it into the hands of someone that needs this.